I'm here today to give thanks. And just a few days ago, Americans across the country celebrated our National Day of Thanksgiving. We celebrated food, fellowship, and freedom with family and friends. By any measure, we're a people endowed with an abundance of blessings. As Americans, we have every reason to be grateful, to share the prosperity of economic freedom, religious liberty, and self-government. Today, I come to the floor to extend my gratitude for one of the most distinguished public servants ever to serve in the United States Senate. It's my distinct privilege to stand here today to pay tribute to my good friend and colleague from Utah, Orrin Hatch. He's a man widely known for his integrity, character, and temperament. He's devoted to his family, his constituents, and his country. With overwhelming support from the good people of Utah, he has served his state and all of America in the United States Senate for 42 years. In those 4 decades of service, he has brought honor, humility, humor, and heart to this institution of the United States Senate. He has honed his legislative experience on a broad range of public policy. In fact, none of his peers has led more laws to final passage than my friend, Senator Hatch. He has built successful bipartisan coalitions to enact laws that make a difference in the lives of everyday Americans. As former chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee and currently the senior member there, he is a champion of religious liberty and the rule of law. He is an advocate for entrepreneurship and free enterprise, as well as a champion of intellectual property rights. That includes being the lead Senate sponsor of the Music Modernization Act. He's just old enough to know when laws aren't keeping pace with technology. Thanks then to his tenacity, the new law will help ensure songwriters, artists, and creators that they will be fairly compensated for their works. Like so many Americans, Senator Hatch is a man of humble beginnings. He embraces the promise of prosperity and opportunity that makes America the beacon of the free world. And that brings me to the basis of my remarks today. From his decade of service and chairmanship at the helm of Senate Finance Committee, Senator Hatch has shouldered some pretty heavy lifting in the legislative trenches to advance free and fair trade laws, to foster economic growth and opportunity. As we all know, America is home to at least 320 million people. That's a fraction of the world's population. And yet America leads the world in economic output, thanks to an amazing bounty of natural resources and an economic foundation that rewards ingenuity, productivity, and creativity. Our country, the United States, produces goods and services that consumers around the world want to buy. Senator Hatch and I share a core philosophy: lowering taxes and trade barriers as a winning formula for prosperity. To paraphrase a philosophy that often attributed to our 35th president, a rising tide lifts all boats. Today, I want to give credit where credit is due. Thanks to Senator Hatch's unflinching leadership and unwavering commitment to advance the principles of free and fair trade. America's formula for prosperity and opportunity stands strong for generations to come. It's virtually impossible to recall any trade policies in recent history that does not have the fingerprints of my esteemed friend, Senator Hatch, all over those documents. In fact, he led the renewal of the Bipartisan Congressional Trade Priorities and Accountability Act of 2015. It paved the way for a robust, transparent review of trade negotiations. Like Senator Hatch, I understand America's needs to speak with one voice on the world stage for effective, lasting trade agreements. We also agree on the constitutional authority of the legislative branch to maintain oversight of these trade agreements. Consultation with Congress is a focal ingredient to ensure America's workers, job creators, and consumers benefit from the global economy. Senator Hatch also steered through bipartisan, bicameral trade legislation that updated our customs laws. It authorized the U.S. Customs and Border Protection to strengthen travel and trade enforcements at our borders. Passage of the Trade Facilitation and Trade Enforcement Act of 2015 holds our trading partners very accountable. It preserves the twin pillars of America's most important economic asset, that is, innovation and intellectual property. Putting in place effective tools to protect intellectual property and thwart counterfeit and illicit products from infiltrating the supply chain protects all of our consumers, all of our workers, and our job creators. Senator Hatch understands that trade agreements can do more harm than good without proper enforcement. Unfair trade can lead to bad trade. That is bad for America. Tax and trade cheats undermine our economy. Senator Hatch has worked tirelessly throughout his years at the helm of the U.S. Senate Finance Committee to weed out wrongdoers and at the same time sow seeds of accountability and transparency in our international trade regime. Protecting U.S. patents, copyrights, and trademarks are essential to U.S. innovation, investment, and prosperity in the 21st century. Senator Hatch has also worked to eliminate barriers to trade that help developing nations create more open economies. His long-term commitment to renew the generalized system of preferences helped lower input costs for U.S. job creators and our manufacturers. On Senator Hatch's watch, investment and opportunity has grown around the world. That rising tide includes the African Growth and Opportunity Act and other trade agreements that facilitate economic development and democracy in developing nations. Expanding markets access is good for America. As my manufacturers and farmers in Iowa tell me time and time again, that is the case. They want the opportunity to compete in every market for every sale. Americans want to do business on the world stage and compete on a level playing field. Thanks to Senator Hatch's leadership with the Trade Extension Preference Act of 2015, we expanded market opportunities in developing countries. Once again, quoting President Kennedy, a rising tide lifts all boats. And when things haven't gone According to plan, Senator Hatch has worked effectively to strengthen U.S. trade remedy laws, including updates such as electronic reporting requirements to hold bad actors to account and to protect the health and safety of consumers for imported goods and services. Building on the passage of the American Competitiveness Manufacturing Act of 2016, Chairman Hatch also led the way to further reduce trade barriers, boost economic benefits, and foster competition for U.S. businesses, our services, and the people that provide those services, and our manufacturers. The miscellaneous tariff bill of 2017 untangles the burdensome red tape of interagency petitions and enforcement that can make or break a business due to unfair trade shenanigans. It strengthens transparency and fairness to help American manufacturers and their workers compete for business. In a nutshell, this law helps U.S. businesses simply to stay in business. At the end of the day, all of what I said are things, among others, that fuels the U.S. economy. The opportunity to compete for every sale in every market. Senator Hatch will leave behind a remarkable legacy and a very big gavel. From one public servant to another, Senator Hatch, I'm grateful for your service. You have an impeccable record and a long list of achievements that lift the tide for generations to come. Thank you for all you have done for your state, for your country, and this institution of the United States Senate. To my dear friend from the bottom of our hearts, Barbara, my wife, and I are grateful for your friendship and wish you well for the future. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
The Pro Tem, Senator from Utah.
Mr. President, I want to thank my dear colleague from Iowa. He's one of the greatest senators I've served with, and he's just a wonderful friend and a wonderful senator. He's worked his tail off the whole time he's been here. So I'm grateful for your kind remarks. It means a great deal to me. Thank you so much.